Nice digs on the music, man.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of the Prime Sports World. This time we're bringing you a crossover episode on Tuesday because game number 5 is officially in the books. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point, right there, CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. Joining us here shortly, so be Mr. TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Prime Sports World is a pretty good place to hang out. We go live 6 or 7 times a week, bringing you the most up-to-date content, including tomorrow where we're going to be continuing our NFL season preview series, jumping into the AFC East and bringing you that Jets content. I'm going to share the StreamYard link to all of the places. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit of NBA action, a little bit what happened in game number 5 against the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics, please feel free to do so. But as I mentioned on every show, please keep your comments PG because we do not want to get in trouble with the powers that be. Anyways, what's up, Izzy? What's up, man? How are you, buddy?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody, man? Very, very hot Tuesday here in Chicago. But other than that, man, I told everybody that this was gonna happen, right? I did not tell you guys last night. Here comes the avalanche, right? Here comes the avalanche of Golden State.
I don't think anybody expected the avalanche though to come from Andrew Wiggins, right?
Hey, it got to come from somewhere, right?
I guess it's true.
It's got to come from somewhere. This series has been up and down series, and I said it. I said the first, team that's going to beat Boston 2 times in a row since January is going to win the NBA championship, and the first team to do it since January was what? The Golden State Warriors, right? So,
hold on 1 second. Go ahead and shared. Okay. Let's move on to the slide from here. Let's talk a little bit more about game 5. Warriors win the game 5, 104-94. They take a 3-2 series lead in that best of 5 series. Steph Curry doesn't make a 3-pointer for the first time in a game since 2018. 233 games in a row without a miss, where he scored at least 1 3-pointer in a game. Joining us now on the show is TJ Hopkins. Welcome to the show, man. We're just breaking down game number 5 real quick. Andrew Wiggins carried the Warriors on offense. Andrew Wiggins carried the Warriors on offense and on defense, scoring a second double-double in a row. This time he had 26 and 13. I think in the first game he had 17 and 16. It's the most, that 16-point rebound was the most rebounds in a finals game by a non-big in, I think it was since 2008. Celtics continue to beat themselves. 10 missed free throws in the fourth quarter, 18 turnovers in the game, or 10 free throws in the game, 18 turnovers, took 15 shots in the fourth quarter, making only 4. So let's talk about game number 5. Welcome to the show, TJ. How are you, man?
The term avalanche is being inaccurately used.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with you on that. Avalanche, please.
It wasn't.
That was sure not an avalanche.
It wasn't an avalanche, right? It's not like they just got bombarded with shots.
Today, so
he's lagging.
Yeah.
And ball out.
You're lagging real bad, man. So figure out your technical stuff and come back. All right, go ahead, TJ.
The term avalanche is not. Here comes watch this avalanche in the fourth quarter. I'm like, they outscored them 29-20. It wasn't that bad. Like you said, 15 shots. Boston took it. They only hit 4. It's not like they were terrible shots, right? I said this in the group chat. I said this in the group chat last night. I despise when the commentators the opposing team is playing good defense. Are they playing good defense, or is the other team just missing shots? Because we saw a lot of shots by Boston. Well, by both teams, really, they were wide open. Right? Is it good defense if a team gets a wide open shot and they just miss it? Is that good defense, or is that just missing a shot?
I mean,
Like,
it's for sure missing a shot. I mean, if you leave them wide open and they just don't make it. I mean, but the Boston Celtics have made a kind of a track record of that over the last couple, like these last two games, where they get good looks and they're just not knocking them down.
so like let's look at just looking at the first half. They were like 1 for 12 from three in the first half. Of those 12, maybe 3 were quote unquote bad looks. The rest of them were wide open. Tatum was wide open on a couple. Horford was wide open. Smart was like they were all wide open except for like a couple, and they just didn't make them.
Well, I mean, you could say the same for both sides. I mean, Curry was 0 for 8 from threes, and a lot of them were wide open.
But I also saw Curry forcing threes, like those threes where he's searching for the body to get that 4-point play. Like he had a bunch of those last night. Where it's like, dude, just shoot the ball.
He was also pressing a little bit. You could tell that he was concerned that he hadn't made a 3-pointer in that game yet.
Absolutely.
After that swing where they didn't make a 3, Boston, they went 7 for 7, or 8 for 8 from 3.
Yeah, they came out of the third quarter and was really stroking it.
Yeah, and took the lead. I think one of the turning points was actually the end of that third quarter, where it was like they were teetering around 4 and 6 points. The lead was teetering between Boston was they just couldn't break out and kind of extend that lead. And when Jordan Poole hit that 3, to go up by 1 at the end of the third quarter, all the momentum kind of just swung over into the fourth quarter. And then also, like you said, TJ, Boston, these guys on Golden State can't really guard you off the dribble. So I don't understand why they're shooting all these threes in the fourth quarter, which really killed them, to be honest with you.
Like they really only have one solid on-ball defender, and that's Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, because Klay Thompson hasn't been that guy, at least not in this series. I'm not saying he still can't be that guy, but he just straight up hasn't been.
But it's gonna take a while, right? It's gonna take a while before, and I'm not even sure if Klay Thompson's ever gonna be that Klay Thompson again, right?
Right.
At least on the defensive side, like you can't go through what he went through and then expect him to be back to normal, right? There is no normal, right? This is probably his new normal.
And then him and Iguodala's on the bench, so now it's Wiggins. Him and Wiggins are back in the day. He was used to guarding the team's best, 2 guard or the team's best offensive player, right?
I mean, he won a Finals MVP. He won a Finals MVP because of that.
Yeah, so Iguodala's kind of old. So Wiggins stepped into that role, and Klay, like TJ said, Klay doesn't have the lateral movement, and also when did he start playing basketball? Again, the second half of the season, the latter part of the second half of the season.
December was it?
December.
January, I think it was January because I don't think he made it for the Christmas Day games.
Yeah, so
I think it was in January.
So it's he's not fully in terms of that he was not ready defensively to guard the guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown off the dribble in a playoff series right now, right? So, but like TJ said, he may never be that guy laterally ever again. I think Boston kind of shot themselves in the foot there. And they had the free throw disparity 0 for 10. You said they were going to the free throw line, they were getting the calls, and they just stopped being aggressive off the dribble.
And they missed a bunch of free throws,
10 free throws in this game.
And Jaylen Brown
and Draymond Green has drawn the assignment of Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown is going right at him.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not a matchup that, in my opinion, that's favorable for the Warriors because Jaylen Brown, outside of last night, Jaylen Brown has had his way with anybody that's been on him. Right.
And Draymond is the first player since Dale Davis in 22 years to foul out 3 times in the finals.
It's three times in the first 5 games.
And 3 times in the first 5 games. That is that if he wants to wake up from a nightmare, I mean, this is a nightmarish finals for Draymond.
I mean, he was pretty good in Game 5.
He was playing really well
until he fouled out.
Yeah,
and a couple of those calls, you can make the argument, but maybe a little ticky tack.
Speaking of ticky tack, and speaking of kind of manipulation, Jordan Poole That was a big foul
Yeah,
call. The
that
flops right
was
there.
that was so. Well, okay, so what irks me is like when you get on Twitter and you point that out, or social media and you point that out, like the immediate response to that, Izzy and David, is the Celtics had this amount of free throws. Stop blaming the refs. Like, no, you idiot. We're not
Well, when
blaming
they're
the refs.
when missed calls are happening, like the people just got to rub the aside. Like they're missing calls, like that call on Barry Payton II where they called a foul. There was absolutely not
Yeah,
a foul there.
he tripped himself.
He tripped
Like
himself, and
he
it certainly looked like a foul in live action. But looking at it in super slow mo, you could clearly tell like nobody touched him. It was clearly
And
not a
even if he
foul.
did, and even if he was fouled, it wasn't a shooting foul because he was not even in the shooting motion. But what I'm getting at is like Tony Brothers is 28 years a ref. 28. You should know better than to be getting manipulated the way you got manipulated last night, bro. Like you were right there. Like the delayed reaction and the flop by Jordan Poole. That's what people are really frustrated about because Smart's arm went up and down. Like he swung his arm up and had put it all the way back down, and then all of a sudden that's when Jordan Poole got the started flopping. And Tony Brothers, like the league office has to see that, right? And they be like, yo, you gotta be better. Like that's inexcusable.
And I think there's going to be that conversation. I mean, but if you're Boston, man, you got to really be kicking yourself in the foot. I mean, you have a game where on paper, if you think about it, you have a game where Steph Curry plays 37 minutes, he doesn't make a single three, he's got one turnover, he's got 2 fouls. I mean, he only scores 16 points. That's a game you should win. Like you think about it on paper, you look at the stat sheet for Steph Curry alone. That's a game that you should win. You have and the fact that you let Andrew Wiggins go off for 26 points, and Andrew Wiggins had timely baskets, timely buckets where they needed a bucket. Who did they go to? Andrew Wiggins.
And
over and over and over again.
What's crazy is that it's Andrew Wiggins. He's not really scoring on like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. He's doing it on the likes of like Grant Williams or Derek White or Marcus Smart.
Or he had Al Horford switch onto him a couple times in the fourth quarter.
He's doing it. So if you're Boston, you got to look at so these last 2 games, Wiggins has really just took advantage of the mismatch. That's it. That's all he's done, and he's took advantage of the mismatch. So what do? We have to make sure that Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, you guys got to step up on that end, and you got to make sure Wiggins doesn't get his. So
and it's what happened last night was what Boston is actually like they wanted what to happen, right? Like whenever they get Curry on a defensive match, like they run whoever offense, like whoever got the ball on Curry, go right at them, right? And they did last night what you're supposed to do when you play Golden State. Anybody but him. So like they lost last night, right? They lost by 10, but Curry didn't do any kind of real damage. You know what? It's like I always say, if Andrew Wiggins had a game like that last night and they beat you, hey, take your L, walk to the middle of the court, hey, good game, see you game 6. You know, if Draymond has a game like that, he just go crazy and they win. Walk to the middle of the court.
I don't think that's going to be in the future. So
but that's the example. Like anybody but him. Like Otto Porter is your starting 4, and he's giving you 15 minutes. Why is he even playing? Like what's the point? Like, so if I'm Boston, I'm looking at some of the guys that's been contributors on this entire run. Grant Williams, 2 shots. Come on, man. Where's that aggression that you've been showing the entire
where's that aggression you show when you beat Milwaukee? Like
what's his Derek White? 21 minutes, 4 shots. You didn't make a shot. Where's that aggression? Right?
They for sure made a different shift on the way they're guarding Derek White, and they're forcing him to put the ball on the floor, and he struggled.
Bit. Like Peyton Pritchard, 5 minutes. Right, like so. I made Udoka either play the kid and have confidence in him, or don't play him at all.
He doesn't need it. Peyton Pritchard. It's just like Kuminga and Moody. You know, like I was preaching, like why aren't these guys get on the floor switching big bodies on Tatum and Brown?
But you
kind of the same thing.
Udoka,
right?
But Udoka has shown more faith in Pritchard than Kerr has in Moody or Kuminga.
In this
for sure.
series, yes, in this series. Oh yeah, 100%
So
now.
again, so you either play him and have that confidence in him, or don't play him at all.
He's a
So
liability on defense.
Yeah,
I don't think he.
But so is Steph Curry. I mean, the thing that I find interesting about Boston is like, so they had something really going with Marcus Smart getting the post, like taking the ball into the painted area and shooting jump shots in the painted area, and then they kind of just went away for that. Even though Marcus Smart scored like 3 baskets in a row on that same action, they just went away with it for no reason at all. I think they should continue to run Marcus Smart in the post and like have him punish smaller guards.
Marcus Smart should get a lot more looks in this offense, especially with Curry guarding them and like Peyton guarding. And I know Peyton's one of the better on-ball defenders, but he's still, you're still a little bit bigger than him in terms of size, right? In terms of brawn, like girth, right? So I just think that we get so hooked on Brown and Tatum, but we need to start looking at Smart. Udoka needs to start looking at Smart and taking advantage of those mismatches, like you said, David, in the post.
I mean, he had a 20-point game only 2 games ago. Like he was a 20-point scorer. Like he's averaged in this series. He's averaged in the postseason 50 points a game. Like, I mean, he's had some pretty good games in this series, and they haven't really utilized him in the back. Like he's had 20, 18, 24 his last 3 games. Like
and Klay Thompson in the post game talking about Game 6. I've never been more excited to go to Boston. Like, bro, like if I'm Steph Curry, I'm pulling him to the side. Like, yo. Like you talking all this game 6 Klay moniker has gone to your head, like straight up, because like if you would just play like that all the time instead of just waiting for one game, this is over.
It's over. But we got to give credit, like on the flip side for Golden State, right? Gary Payton played well. He gave you 3 steals, 15 points, a couple assists, right? Some rebounds. He made some big plays. He plays great team defense. Klay made big shots down the stretch with Wiggins as well. Looney came in there, and I need Looney to go a little harder at the basket, man.
Well, he got into early foul trouble in this game, and I think it really limited what he could really do. He had 3 fouls in the first.
Running and fouling,
Yeah, he had 3 fouls in the first quarter, and like they had to.
I will give the officiating credit for that, because they do get as a team, the Golden State Warriors, they do get away with a lot of moving screens, right?
Yeah.
They never
everybody in the NBA does, though.
But they never come to a full stop. Like, David, stop that guy. We ain't talking about everybody else in the NBA. We talking about the Golden State Warriors. Okay. Is everybody else in the NBA playing right now? No. We talking about Golden State Warriors.
I'm just saying they can be calling illegal screens on like every possession.
They do a lot where Draymond Green is not set on the screen, right? We literally saw in Game 1 when he did 3 illegal screens, or Game 2. He did 3 illegal screens on 1 play. They ain't called nothing, right? So they are looking for that extra little hip check that they do, right? Because that's not a screen. That's a hip check, bro. Like, what are you doing?
And Kevon Looney got called for that, basically that exact same play 2 games in a row, where he basically checked it in the game and then literally did the same thing 2 games in a row.
And it's usually coming off the handoff. So he'll stand there, he'll just hand the ball off, and then when the defender's tailing whoever's catching the ball off the handoff, they'll give him a little hip check, right? So yeah, you got the refs don't want to call that, but you're putting them, like, when you make it obvious, you kind of got to call that, right?
So here's some good news if you're the Boston Celtics. If you fall down 3-2 in this series, they're 3-0 in elimination games this postseason. They beat Milwaukee in Game 6, and then they can follow that up by beating them in Game 7, and then they in Game 7 against the Miami Heat, which I guess technically is an elimination game. They survived that game as well, so 3-0 in elimination games. And then the Klay Thompson question: do you think we see Game 6 Klay make an appearance during Thursday night's game?
If we do, if we do, I'm looking at him differently, because why was this the first 5 games? Like, seriously, like we seriously have to start asking that question, right? Like, why is it just 1 game that you quote unquote show up? Like, seriously, like we got to start asking that.
Yeah, they're more or less right. The last two games were the closeout games, right? He was particularly good, right?
Well, I mean, he's had like that Game 6 Warrior, that's in 6 game against Oklahoma City a few years ago when they eventually came back from 3-1 and beat Oklahoma City.
Mhm.
And then that game against Memphis, the game against Memphis in the Game 6 game into Memphis where he went off in that series.
Yeah,
Like, there's been a long track record of
yeah,
Klay Thompson just exploding in Game 6s.
But again, you have to ask the question. All right, where the hell was this the previous games? Because I guarantee you, like the sets, they may change offensively for Golden State, but not to the degree where they running a whole new offense. Right? At the end of the day, they want the ball. Like if it's not a layup, if it's not a layup from somebody cutting to the basket, they really want two people taking the shot. And their names are either Steph or Klay. Like if those two dudes get the ball and they can get a shot off, they'll live with that, right? So if I'm Boston, I go into Game 6 with the same mentality. All right, anybody but Steph. If Jordan Poole has been wildly inconsistent, right? I'll live
I
with
mean,
Jordan Poole.
he's been good in like 3 quarters in this entire series, for real.
All right, I'll live with that. Like Andrew Wiggins, if you can keep it up, like let's see. But if he he's not winning finals. If they win this, he's not winning finals MVP. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just not.
Wiggins. Well,
I mean, if Steph Curry if Steph Curry struggles in Game 6 and Andrew Wiggins is the reason that they win another game, I think he could win Finals MVP.
Yes,
that
was my whole argument last night in our little chat.
I mean, he's been the best defender on the team. I mean, he kind of slowed down Jason Tatum a lot in this series. I think if Andrew Wiggins is crucial to the Warriors winning Game 6 and Steph Curry struggles again in 2 back-to-back games, I think Andrew Wiggins could win Finals MVP.
Yeah, and I've made that argument yesterday, and he has the fourth.
Do I think he will? No.
I don't think. See, okay, there we go. See, I don't think he will, but he has the fourth. If I'm, the bettors out there, he has the fourth best odds to win Finals. I mean, you put a $100 bet. He's a plus 2,000. You win $2,000, right? If you put a $100 bet on him, right? So you $10, you win 200, right? So those are good odds for Andrew Wiggins. And like I said, and I think we're right? So if he does have a great game where he like the same game 26 and whatever 14 or whatever the case is, and Steph Curry struggles and Klay gives you 18 and Poole gives you 15 and Peyton gives you 15 and just contributes. Yeah, I think and then Wiggins, does his thing and limits Jason Tatum. Yeah, Wiggins has a great shot at winning it if that happens. I don't think that will happen. I think Curry will, make an appearance. And I honestly think if I have to make a prediction, I honestly think, Boston forces a Game 7 here, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, it is time for prediction time. So Game 6 prediction. I'm gonna agree with you, Izzy. I think Boston does force a Game 7. I think Boston is gonna come out motivated. They're at home. They're home cooking, their own bed. I think Jason Tatum is gonna be extremely motivated to avenge what was a really shaky performance in their last game against Golden State. I know he was good in spurts, but down the stretch there, he was airballing a bunch of shot attempts. It just wasn't a good performance.
Yeah, his legs by that point in the fourth quarter, Tatum's legs were just non-existent. Yeah. He had no lift on the shot. You could tell, like his free throws were short, his threes were short. Like it was just, yeah.
I never seen him miss that.
I hate all this. The Celtics ain't ready for prime time, and then how the hell did they get here?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Just because they struggled down the stretch of the game.
This is what I say to people like that. Everybody's got to grow up, right? They experienced early success. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 years ago?
5 years in a row.
Five, yeah.
It's been they not ready for prime time. Is dumb. Like Tatum went to the Eastern Conference Finals as a rookie against LeBron James.
And the only season is the last 2 seasons they went last season they didn't go there, Miami, and then I think it was like the 3 seasons in a row before that they went to the conference finals and lost to the eventual champion.
Yeah. So this team grew up. They grew up. They learned how to win. They learned how to get over the hump. And so this is another level, right? So this is the Golden State Warriors, albeit you got some newer parts like Poole and Peyton, but you still got your nucleus, right? You still got Curry, you still got Thompson, you still got Green, you still got Looney, you still got Iguodala chanting off the bench, and then Otto Porter's a veteran in this league. So that team has championship DNA, and when it comes down to it, they just make the necessary plays to win the game. I think, like I said, Boston forces a game 7 and I think it's going to be a close one. But I think Jaylen Brown's going to have a really good game in this game. I think Jaylen Brown's the guy to bounce back. I think Jaylen Brown is a guy that gets them over the hump in Game 6, gives Jason Tatum that extra little oomph, you know. And then Game 7, who knows? It's a toss up. Golden State hasn't lost off of a loss in the playoffs, right? They haven't lost back to back. They've always won a loss.
I just got a feeling. Got a feeling like this is going to be the game where Draymond gets that tech, and I don't know how many he has, but like if he has, I don't
think it's close to the number.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Was it like 6? Was it like 6 or 7 before you?
I think it's 8.
Yeah, so, I think he probably only has like half of that, maybe. But
he's got 4 technicals right now in Game 2, so he's only got 4. He's not even close to it.
Honestly,
you get suspended. You get suspended after you pick up 7.
Honestly,
so he'd have to get ejected and then find a way to pick up another.
Honestly, so, I've been rooting for the Warriors to, I predicted the Warriors to win this series, but honestly, Draymond could have gotten, 2 techs easily in a couple of these games here.
Yeah, I mean, he could have gotten a bunch of techs in a bunch of games, but they just
he could have got one last night, like the whole.
He could have got 2 last night.
The whole following Tatum to the bench thing.
I cannot believe.
I can't believe they allowed that.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
I didn't understand what he was doing either. What are you doing? What are you trying to take the ball for? And then here comes Gary Payton. You putting yourself in the mix too to get a tech too. Just stupid basketball. Bonehead plays after the whistle. Just take your butt to the bench.
But yeah, I'm taking Boston to win Game 6. I actually think Boston could win this game easily. I think this could be one of those blowout games when Boston, comes out, asserts their will from the beginning to the end. They win this game by 20 points.
Yeah, one of those. All right, we're gonna give your fans one last send off.
Yeah.
Before we beat their ass and before we beat y'all ass in Game 7. So yeah, but I originally picked Celtics in 7. I'm sticking with it. So obviously I got Boston winning Game 6. I don't have a prediction as far as like score wise. I just want Boston to win the game.
It's gonna be 107 to 87.
If I have to go with a prediction, it's gonna be like a 3-point win. It's gonna be a close one, man. It's gonna be one of those games where it comes down to, Tatum or Brown, maybe making a defensive play on Curry or something like that, last possession type of deal. But I just think Boston maybe ices it with free throws, possibly at the end. I don't know, but I think it's gonna be a close one.
The one thing that we've shown, one thing that this finals has shown is that both teams have been responding to the knockdowns, right? Like Boston, they was down early yesterday. Yeah, they were down early yesterday. They was down 11. They only scored 16 points.
They were down 16 by the way at one point.
They were down 16 at one point, and they fought back, right?
That's when they hit those 8 threes in a row.
Right. Mm-hmm. Took a lead, and it took a 42-foot three by Jordan Poole to kill that momentum. Because I honestly believe if Jordan Poole doesn't hit that three, Boston probably wins Game 5. Right, like that.
Because it was definitely a momentum shifter.
Like that was a huge, bro, for them to go on that run in the third quarter, and that's what I was talking about. Is when I was like, Boston said enough is enough. That was the first third quarter they won all series. That was the first third quarter. Like all the entire narrative about Golden State in these playoffs is, all right, watch this third quarter. Watch the switch get flipped in the third quarter.
I mean, that's been the narrative. That's been the narrative of Golden State ever since they put together this big three. Like ever since Draft and Steph and Clay got together, like the third quarter's always been their quarter.
Right, and it didn't happen last night. So like that's what I be telling people. I'm like, one of these games they're gonna run into a situation where the third, like that switch in the third is not gonna be able to be turned on, and it happened.
And I'm gonna say this, okay? I think the only way Golden State wins this game is if Curry and Clay are both playing lights out. They have to both play lights out. Curry
But if
has
I'm
30,
sorry,
and Clay has to have 30 plus 2 as well.
like they gotta combine for
Game
60.
6 Clay is going to show up.
Yeah,
So
no,
like,
that's the
so like
only way I think.
if you're Boston, you gotta look at it this way. Like, damn, bro, we should be champs right now because we had game 4 in our house. Curry literally outscored our top 2 players. No one else basically went alone for the ride. So we had that one. We let that one get away. And then Curry was terrible in game 5, and Andrew Wiggins beat us. Like, Boston should literally be looking at themselves like, yo, we should be champions right now.
And let me say this: what a moment for Andrew Wiggins right now in the finals. Right, has the narrative. I mean, he's number 1 pick. People forgot about that. People don't care about that. Like TJ said, people don't care. He's number 1 pick. He just hasn't lived up to those expectations.
He hasn't lived up to it.
And he's been a solid player. 20 points. You know, Andrew Wiggins is going to give you 18 and 20 a night. That's great. But when you're the number 1 pick, you have those expectations. We're expecting you to be a superstar type of talent, right? And so, what a moment! Players change, and
it's a really nice redemption arc. Like his,
right.
Like he went to Minnesota, he put up a bunch of gaudy numbers on a bad basketball team. Everybody's all he just puts dead numbers, and
right.
now they're like, oh, this guy doesn't play hard enough. He doesn't care about it. He doesn't want it enough. And you look at him in Golden State. I mean, he spent 2 seasons kind of just being there, and then all of a sudden he turns it on, and he's like, oh, the most important player on the team. You can make the argument.
And for ESPN to pull up a 12-year-old tweet from Jason Tatum when he was like 9 years old or however, I don't know how old Jason Tatum was.
Jason Tatum was in high school. He was in high school.
Okay, he's not.
He must have been like 13.
When he was in
14.
high school,
he was like 13.
For
he was a freshman in high school.
For ESPN to pull up that tweet talking about some Jabari Parker is better than Andrew Wiggins. Like at the do y'all realize like the time of that tweet was that not the debate?
It was absolutely. You know how many people who tweets we can pull up where they said Jabari Parker was gonna be a better player than Andrew Wiggins? A ton of people.
A ton of people. I mean, people thought Jabari Parker was gonna be better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So
did we not have Milwaukee like on the arc to be special with those 2 dudes? Right?
Yes, sir.
Like the Warriors fans to be roasting Jason Tatum. First off, you're showing your stupidity, like you really are, and you're showing your fair weatheredness. Because let's not act like Jabari Parker was not a 4-time city and state champion before going to Duke.
And let's not pretend like he wasn't a 20-point scorer his first season in the league.
Yeah, no,
if he hadn't got hurt.
There's a lot of people that won a lot of prep awards. Everybody in the league it was great at the prep level, right? But Jabari Parker actually before he tore his knee was actually a legit scorer in this league.
Like he was like Barry used to give people buckets.
Yeah, he was a 20-point per game scorer before he tore up all.
Like it's just it's just unfortunate that what happened to him happened.
Right.
So,
but my thing is, that tweet, that's just to stir the pot. That's just I doubt Andrew Wiggins even cares about that tweet.
Oh, he for sure doesn't.
Yeah, and so that pot is just for fans to start saying, "Oh, you said this, you said that," and it's like that tweet was when Jason Tatum was a kid. He was like 15 years old. He's probably like a freshman or a sophomore in high school. And I mean, every other kid or freshman and sophomore in high school, I remember saying little stupid stuff like, "Oh, this running back's better than that running back," and this running back. It just so happened that Jason Tatum was one of the best basketball players in the nation, right? He ended up being one of the best players in the NBA, right? One of the best players in the NBA, right? So it's just like one of those things where it's like ESPN just trying to stir the pot, just trying to start drama with fans.
And we will see what happens on Game 6. That game is on Thursday night. It starts at 8 o'clock tip-off, so do not miss that content. We will be back on Friday with the crossover, breaking down whatever happens on game number 6. We could either have a game number 7 or we have a new champion in the National Basketball Association. In the comment section, let us know who do you think is going to win this game and why. Game number 6. I've been David Huppin right there. It's TJ Hopkins right there. It's Mr. Israel Rivera. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast because we are continuing to give you guys good content, including we're going to start previewing the AFC East tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that content. We're going to start with the lowly New York Jets and then run up to the
Jets, Jets.
But yeah, gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
I have for sure had enough of the heat. It is 93 degrees where I am in the south suburbs. Working downtown in this heat is not fun.
I'm feeling great right now. It's nice little air conditioned, climate cooled environment right now. I'm not going outside, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, Prize Sports will be back here tomorrow.
Hey, real talk. Like, if you don't have to go outside, don't. Just don't. If you don't have to, just if you gotta work, go. Get out, go to work, go home. Don't be out there no longer than you have to.
Or if you like me, about to go to the gym, I'm going outside for a little bit. But I'm going inside though. So.
Prize Sports World will be back here tomorrow. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We will see you guys later. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, guys.